things I no longer identify with. So part of, trying to attain the things that you want in this life comes with you shifting your identity to one that serves you as opposed to one that doesn't serve you any longer, right? And in doing so, you must sort of come up with things that you don't comply with anymore, and things that you strongly identify with and things that you strongly identify against. In the book, The Art of War by Sun Tzu, he says, a person who knows thyself and know thy enemy, no needs to ponder the outcome of 100 battles. But a person who only knows thyself and not the enemy will take one loss for every victory that they take. And the person who knows not thyself nor the enemy, they'll succumb a loss every time. And this is me paraphrasing. That's like the best that I could think of the quote. But anyway, things I no longer identify with. Number one, waiting for a savior. Waiting for the savior. The honest truth is nobody's coming to save you. It's actually a difficult truth to accept. And for the longest time, the reason why we put stuff off or think that we avoid facing ourselves, or we avoid actually doing the work of getting into the things that we want, is because we think somebody's coming to save us. I turned 26 last year, right? And it took me a very long time to come to this realization. But there is no easy way. I actually saw a snippet of an Alex Hormozy podcast today, and he said it takes people way too long to understand that there is no easy way. Wow. And I said, that has been me majority of my life, looking for an easy way or a shortcut to get to where I want to be. I think the younger you are, and the more you can actively choose to take the longest path, the most difficult path to get to where you want to be, the more all paths to that place become easier for you. Because at least when you've taken the more difficult path or the longer path, you can sort of overcome any obstacles that may actually be in your way. So there's nobody coming to save you. The faster in which you accept that is directly related to the speed in which you attain that which you desire. Nobody's coming to save you. Number two, putting things off and that I actually have time in the future to do them. The greatest lie that we tell ourselves is that we'll do something tomorrow, or that we actually have time. All we honestly fail to remind ourselves is death can strike so suddenly, right? And at any time. And we forget that. And if there's things in this life that you want to do before that you die, you should act on them immediately. Because the only thing in this life we are actually promised is death. And when we think of death, all of our fears and our anxieties are alleviated. And a sense of urgency is then created in life to actually move forward and attain the things that you want. So putting things off and thinking I have time, something I no longer identify with. I no longer identify with doing things later, right? Or being avoidant of doing tasks, which leads me to point 3. Avoiding to do the things that I know that I need to do. Avoidance is actually a muscle in which you train. You either train for it or against it. So every time you need to do something and you don't do it and you put it off to a later date, you have trained yourself to put things off and avoided facing yourself. It's not the task in itself that you're avoiding, but the part of yourself you're afraid to face. No matter any obstacles that you come into life, none of it, the reason why you quit is never that obstacle, but it's the thing that you're afraid to face. Hi, brother. How you doing? It is the thing that you're afraid to face. Putting things off is a muscle that you train. And every time you do something that you don't want to do, you train that muscle. David Goggins calls the inner bitch. You kill that inner bitch inside every time you do something that you don't want to do. Every time you don't do something that you don't want to do, you actually feed that low quote-unquote inner bitch, right? So practicing delayed gratification and doing all the tasks that I know I need to do that I would normally be avoidant of. The next thing is caring about how other people perceive me. I'm in the middle of uni right now, and it's like 5 o'clock, and there's a lot of people walking past and on their way home that are constantly giving me looks like, why is this person talking to a camera? But I spent too much time in my life caring about what other people think of me when it's never really got me anywhere. So how dare I continue to care about how other people perceive me? It's got nothing to do with my potential. Outsourcing my potential to others perceive me as is the lamest thing that I've ever done in my whole life. And from today onwards, or from actually a long time ago onwards, I stopped doing that, right? Because how other people perceive you is only, and perceive you and your potential only comes from how they perceive themselves and their own potential. I saw a TikTok the other day, and somebody goes, when you pitch somebody an idea and they tell you, that's impossible, you can't do that, you should say for you. And that's the realest shit I ever heard. Like, it's so real. In this life, we're governed by our perception. Our perception is the lens in which we perceive life in, right? The frame in which we look at life at. And the way people perceive you comes directly from the way that they perceive self. Why? Because we only have experienced life from one perspective, and we can only hold others to the same standards that we hold ourselves. The next thing is thinking that I do not have enough in order to start. The greatest lie that you tell yourself is that when you get that camera, or when you get that more knowledge, or when you read that one more book, listen to one more podcast, that you're going to begin. But that's honestly the grandest lie you can tell yourself. The grandest lie you can tell yourself. Because how many more until you feel as if you are enough? How many more? How many more books? How many more podcasts? How much more equipment? There are people with way less than you, financially, skill-wise, tech-wise, equipment-wise, that are doing way better and flourishing at what you desire to do. Yet you convince yourself that you constantly need to do more or have more in order to get to where you want to be. That's a lie. It's the grandest lie in which you tell yourself. So that's something I no longer identify, thinking that I need more in order to do what I want to do or get to where I want to be. Another thing is allowing fear to be the reason I don't act on things. Fear is something that we develop. It's a conditioned emotion. And when you do things scared, right, what you tend to realize is you actually forget you were scared in the first place. You forget you're scared so quickly. And you look back at yourself and you think, I can't believe I hesitated doing this, right? Because of fearing the outcome of the worst case scenario, and that is just simply not the case. That's not how life works. So something I no longer identify with is doing things scared, right? Or from a scared perspective. Actually, I might add one more thing. I no longer identify with starting things and quitting when they don't work out immediately. A story that I often like to reinforce to myself is the story of Sisyphus. Sisyphus was a man who was punished by the gods, the Greek gods, to push a rock up a boulder. And every time, at the end of every day, he would get to the top of the hill and the rock would roll back. And he would be exhausted of energy that he couldn't push it anymore. So he was sort of banished to do this his whole life. And the concept of the story is a philosophical story that it's meant to remind you that it is not, the reason why you do things is not for the outcome, but because of the man it makes you. The reason why you do things is not because of the outcome, but because of the man it makes you. Right? You need to love doing things because it's training you to become a certain version of yourself. And that's the whole point of the thing. It's not the end outcome, but the person you become in order to attain what it is. So whatever pursuit you're going to, you have to allow that pursuit to change and change you for the better so you can get to exactly where you want to be. Another thing that I no longer identify with is allowing others to define what I consider to be successful. Success is a progressive realization of a worthy ideal. Some of the greatest artists of our time died before the world could recognize their greatness. Vincent van Gogh and many, many, many others. Because they allowed others to dictate the beauty and the quality of what they created. Most people don't even realize their own potential. So what makes you think they're going to realize yours? Let me say that again for the people in the back. Most people don't realize their own potential. So what makes you think they're ever going to realize yours? So defining what success means to you is probably one of the most important things that you ever do in your life, right? And success is the progressive realization of their ideal. Progressively realizing that something that you're doing is purposeful and meaningful to you as an individual. So that's the video of the things that I no longer identify with. Part 1 of this video. I can't wait to make a part 2 as I evolve and come up with more ideas. But yeah, those are things that I no longer identify with. Hope you guys liked it. Like, subscribe, and share with a friend, and I'll see you guys in the next one.